Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome back to our show Unscripted on
America's Islamic Radio.
Just a disclaimer, the information that is going to be presented in this episode has been derived and paraphrased from two BBC articles. The first, U.S.-Iran Relations, A Brief History, and the second, Iran Plane Crash, The Victims of Ukraine Flight PS 752.
Once upon a time, two amazing,
Talented,
smart,
powerful
girls named Hannah and Maria decided to look into the intricate history of Iran and the United States, which dates back to a duration of 65 years. Yes, folks, that's 65 years.
Let us begin with the year 1953. British and American intelligence agencies strategized the ousting of Mohammad Mossadegh. Mossadegh, a secular leader, had intentions of nationalizing Iran's oil production.
In 1979, the United States backed the Shah of Iran. On the 16th of January, following the months of protests, the Shah is forced to leave the country. 2 weeks later, Ayatollah Khomeini, the Islamic leader, returns from exile. Following the referendum, the Islamic Republic of Iran is publicly declared on April 1st.
In November of 1979, the U.S. Embassy in Tehran was hijacked by Iranian protesters. American hostages were held for 444 days. The remaining 52 hostages were liberated in January of 1981, the day Ronald Reagan was inaugurated. A group of 6 Americans were actually smuggled out of Iran by a group of posing filmmakers, which is depicted in the movie Argo.
From 1985 to 1986, the United States secretly ships weapons to Iran, allegedly in exchange for help to free hostages, U.S. hostages held by Hezbollah militants in Lebanon. The profit is illegally channeled to rebels in Nicaragua, which creates a serious political crisis for Reagan.
On July 3, 1988, the United States shot down an Iran air flight, killing 290 people. The United States claimed that it was a mistake.
In 2002, George Bush condemned Iran as an attribute of the axis of evil, alongside the Iraq and North Korean government. This infuriated Iran.
Also in 2002, an Iranian opposition group brought light to the fact that Iran was constructing nuclear facilities, highlighting the uranium enrichment plant.
The United States places accusations on Iran for a secret nuclear program, which Iran denies.
This is followed by, and I quote, a decade of diplomatic activity and intermittent Iranian engagement with the UN's nuclear watchdog.
Throughout the 2000s, the UN, US, and EU placed many sanctions on the government of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. This resulted in 2/3 of the value loss of Iranian currency within just 2 years.
On September 2013, Iran's new president, Hassan Rouhani, spoke to the American president, Barack Obama, by phone for the first time in over 30 years. In 2015, Iran signs a long-term deal on its nuclear program with a group of world powers known as the P5+1. These powers include the United States, the UK, France, China, Russia, and Germany. Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities in return for lifting economic sanctions.
In May 2018, the U.S. President Donald Trump abandons the nuclear deal, puts heavy economic sanctions against Iran, and threatens to do the same against countries that continue buying its oil. Iran's economy falls into a deep recession. In 2019, this relationship worsens as the United States tightens these sanctions. Iran begins a counter-pressure campaign. In May and June 2019, explosions hit 6 oil tanks in the Gulf of Oman, and the United States blames Iran. On the 20th of June, Iran forces a shoot-down of a U.S. military drone over the Strait of Hormuz. The United States says it was over international waters, but Iran says it was over their own territory.
Fast forward to present day. On January 3rd, 2020, a U.S. drone strike in Iraq resulted in the killing of General Qasem Soleimani, Iran's top military commander. Iran is adamant about avenging Soleimani's death, and as a result, they pulled out of the 2015 nuclear accord.
Now these are the facts. Let's take a look at the impact these events had on civilians and innocent lives. Iran fired over a dozen missiles that struck a Ukrainian airline international flight 752 on January 8th. This attack was responsible for the deaths of 176 people. That is 176 innocent lives gone in a matter of 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. 82 Iranians, 63 Canadians, and 11 crew members lost their lives on that day.
Pedram Mousavi and Mojgan Daneshmand were a married couple who taught engineering at the University of Alberta. Mousavi and Daneshmand, along with their two daughters, ages 9 and 14, were killed. Siavash Ghafouri Azhar, an engineer, was on his way home with his wife, Sarah Mamani. The newlyweds were on their way to their first home that they bought near Montreal.
As we can see through these examples, that the impact of these wars almost always impacts civilians, and innocent lives are lost. Our message today is just that before making any political decision or making a judgment on any political phenomena, we need to educate ourselves on what is going on and who is truly impacted.
And so with that, we will conclude today's episode with a quote by H.G. Wells. If we don't end war, war will end us.